Hairdresser cuts a man's hair for free and gets fired. Hours later, the governor arrives, bringing with him an unexpected opportunity that changes her career. Ethan stood in the barbershop, scissors in hand, focusing on the client in the chair. The hum of clippers and the smell of aftershave filled the air. Everything felt routine until a thought sparked in his mind. He turned his gaze to the window, where he spotted Jasper, a homeless man, sitting on the curb. His clothes were worn, and his beard was unkempt. A wave of empathy washed over Ethan. Without thinking too much, he called out, "Hey, Jasper, come on in. Let me give you a haircut." Jasper looked surprised, his eyes widening. "Really? You'd do that for me?" "Of course. Everyone deserves a fresh start," Ethan replied, a smile breaking on his face. Inside the barbershop, Frank, the owner, watched this unfold from the back. His brows furrowed as he approached Ethan. "What are you doing?" he asked, his tone sharp. "Kindness doesn't pay the bills. You can't just give haircuts away for free." Ethan felt a knot tighten in his stomach. "But Frank, it's just one haircut. It can make a difference." "Difference or not, you need to think about this. You can't let your compassion put you in a bind." Frank snapped back, crossing his arms. As Frank walked away, Ethan's heart raced. He felt torn. Was he risking his job for a good deed? The weight of uncertainty settled on his shoulders. The thought of losing his position scared him. But was it wrong to help someone in need? His mind raced with questions as he prepared to cut Jasper's hair. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Jasper asked, sitting in the chair. "I am," Ethan replied, his hands steadying. Everyone deserves to feel good about themselves. As Ethan began to snip away at Jasper's hair, he felt a spark of determination. He wanted to help people like Jasper, those who often went unnoticed. The snips of the scissors echoed in the shop, creating a rhythm that felt right. With every cut, he felt a sense of purpose growing within him. "Wow, I didn't think anyone would notice me," Jasper said, looking at his reflection. "It feels nice to be seen." Ethan nodded, his heart swelling with pride. "You deserve it. Everyone does." Yet, as Jasper smiled, a shadow of doubt began to creep into Ethan's mind. How would he pay his bills if he continued down this path? What if Frank fired him? But then, he recalled the look of hope on Jasper's face. The moment felt bigger than a job. It felt like a calling. "I can't just stop here," Ethan whispered to himself as he finished the haircut. "I need to find a way to help more people." He watched as Jasper ran his fingers through his newly styled hair. "Thank you, Ethan. You've given me more than just a haircut. You've given me hope." Ethan smiled back, ignited with a new sense of resolve. He felt the weight of his decision, but he was ready to embrace it. It was time to step beyond the barbershop walls, to reach out to those in need. As Jasper left, a part of Ethan knew that this was just the beginning of something much larger than himself. "I will find a way," he thought, his mind racing with possibilities. Unbeknownst to him, this act of kindness, this spontaneous decision, would lead them both on a journey that neither could foresee. Ethan took a deep breath, letting the excitement of the unknown wash over him. What would his next steps be? How could he turn this moment into something that could help more people? With determination in his heart, he made a promise to himself. He would figure it out. He would not let fear hold him back. Ethan was ready to change the narrative, to become a beacon of hope, starting with one haircut at a time. Ethan stood in his small apartment, surrounded by old photos and memories from his time as a barber. Each picture told a story, a snapshot of a life he had touched with his scissors and clippers. He thought about his clients, their laughter, their secrets, and the moments they shared in his chair. A spark ignited within him as he envisioned a new way to bring joy to others. He decided to start a mobile haircutting service, a way to reach those who needed it most. Days turned into nights as Ethan mapped out his plan. He gathered his tools, clippers, scissors, a portable chair, and a mirror. He had a vision of setting up in a local park where he could offer haircuts to anyone who passed by. "This is it," he said to himself, filled with hope. I can make a difference." On the morning of his first day, nerves danced in his stomach. Ethan loaded his equipment into his old van, glancing at the weather. The sun shone brightly, but the thought of waiting alone in the park made him anxious. "What if no one shows up?" he muttered, doubt creeping in. He shook his head, pushing the fear aside. "I have to try, for Jasper and for everyone else." When he arrived at the park, he found a quiet spot under a large oak tree. With each movement, he set up his station, arranging everything just right. He took a deep breath, scanning the empty space around him. "Here goes nothing," he whispered, forcing a smile. As the minutes passed, Ethan's heart sank. He watched families stroll by, children playing, but no one seemed to notice him. Then, just as he was about to lose hope, a familiar face appeared. It was Marcus, one of his longtime clients from the barbershop. "Ethan, is that you?" Marcus called out, his eyes lighting up. "Hey Marcus, I'm starting a mobile haircut service. Want a trim?" Ethan replied, his energy lifting at the sight of a friend. "Absolutely. I've been meaning to get this mop under control," Marcus laughed, settling into the chair. As Ethan worked, more people began to gather. They were curious about the setup, and soon, a small crowd formed. Each person who stepped forward carried their own story. Some were regulars from the barbershop, while others were new faces, each needing a little kindness and care. Ethan felt a warmth spread through him as the park buzzed with life. "I can't believe this," he thought, joy bubbling inside. As he cut hair, he listened to their stories. One young woman shared her struggles as a single mother. An elderly man spoke about his late wife and the memories they had shared. Each haircut became more than just a trim. It was a connection, a moment of shared humanity. Then, Ethan's heart skipped a beat when he saw Jasper approaching. The man he had helped with a free haircut weeks ago had come back. Jasper's eyes sparkled with gratitude. "Ethan, I can't believe you're doing this. I've been looking forward to it all week," he exclaimed, taking a seat. "Just for you, Jasper," Ethan smiled, beginning to trim his hair. "How have you been?" Jasper chuckled softly. "Things are tough, but I'm trying to stay hopeful. Your kindness really lifted my spirits." As they talked, Jasper opened up about his dreams of finding a stable job and a place to call home. "I just want a chance, he said, his voice filled with determination. Ethan nodded, feeling a rush of motivation. "You deserve that chance, Jasper. I believe in you." The sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the park, and Ethan realized the day had become a success. People left with smiles and new haircuts, but more importantly, they left feeling seen and heard. As Ethan packed up, he felt a sense of purpose solidify within him. "This is just the beginning," he thought, a smile forming on his lips. He knew that he had found a new path, one filled with connection, compassion, and hope. And in that moment, he felt ready for whatever lay ahead, eager to keep making a difference in the lives of those around him. As the sun rose over the park, Ethan felt a mix of excitement and nerves. His mobile barbershop had gained media attention, and he could sense the change in the air. People were talking about him, and his phone buzzed with messages from friends and strangers alike. Some praised his work, while others questioned his motives. Ethan knew that this attention could help his mission, but he also feared the scrutiny that came with it. One afternoon, during a community event, the park buzzed with activity. Families gathered, children played, and laughter filled the air. Suddenly, a commotion erupted near the main stage. Ethan turned to see Governor David Caldwell approaching, surrounded by cameras and reporters. The governor had come to speak about community initiatives, but the crowd was eager to hear about Ethan's work. Ethan's heart raced. He had never imagined that his little venture would attract such high-profile attention. As the governor took the stage, Ethan felt both pride and anxiety. He stood at the edge of the crowd, watching as the governor spoke about the importance of community support and kindness. "Ethan's work is an inspiration," Governor Caldwell said, pointing in Ethan's direction. "He shows us that a simple act of kindness can change lives." Ethan shifted uncomfortably. He appreciated the praise, but he wondered if it was right to be in the spotlight. He had started this journey to help people, not to become famous. As the governor continued his speech, Ethan felt a conflict brewing inside him. Was he ready for this kind of attention? Would it distract him from his mission? After the speech, Ethan was approached by a reporter. "Ethan, how does it feel to have the governor recognize your work?" she asked, her camera capturing his every expression. Ethan hesitated, searching for the right words. It's great to know that people are noticing," he said slowly. "But I really just want to help others. That's what matters to me." The reporter nodded, but Ethan could see the glimmer of excitement in her eyes. She wanted a story, something sensational. As he spoke, he glanced over at Jasper, who had just received a fresh haircut from Ethan. Jasper stood nearby, looking proud and hopeful. "Jasper, would you like to share your story?" Ethan asked, feeling a surge of inspiration. He wanted to highlight the real issues, not just his own journey. Jasper stepped forward, a bit nervous, but willing. "Sure, Ethan," he replied, his voice steady. "I've been through a lot. I lost my job and my home, but Ethan gave me hope. He listened to me and made me feel human again." With the cameras rolling, Jasper looked directly into the lens. "There are so many of us out here struggling. We need more than just haircuts. We need support and understanding." Ethan felt a swell of pride as Jasper spoke. This was what he had hoped for, a chance to bring attention to the struggles of the homeless community. As Jasper finished, the crowd erupted in applause. Ethan realized that this moment was not about him, but about the people he aimed to help. As the event wrapped up, Ethan found himself surrounded by people wanting to learn more about his mission. Some offered to volunteer, while others wanted to donate supplies. The buzz of excitement filled the park, and Ethan felt a sense of purpose wash over him. However, in the midst of the celebration, Ethan couldn't shake the internal struggle he faced. He wanted to continue helping without becoming a figure of fame. He asked himself, "How can I stay true to my mission while navigating this newfound attention?" As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the park, Ethan took a deep breath. He knew that he had to find a way to balance the recognition with his desire to serve. With Jasper by his side and the community rallying behind him, Ethan felt ready to embrace whatever came next. This was just the beginning of a journey that would challenge him in ways he never expected, but he was determined to stay focused on what truly mattered: helping others. Ethan stood nervously in front of the crowd, his heart pounding in his chest. The sun shone brightly above, but the warmth did little to ease the chill of anxiety that ran down his spine. Governor David Caldwell had just finished his stirring speech, praising Ethan for his work with the homeless. Ethan felt a mix of pride and fear. He had never wanted to be in the spotlight, yet here he was, a symbol for change. As the applause echoed around him, Ethan took a deep breath. He knew he had to speak next, but doubt crept into his mind. Was he really ready for this? Did he have the right words to say? He glanced at Jasper, who stood off to the side with a hopeful smile. Jasper had come so far, and Ethan wanted to honor his journey. "Ethan, come on, speak to us," a voice called from the crowd. It was Frank, the barbershop owner, who had once doubted Ethan's kindness. Now, Frank stood with respect in his eyes, and Ethan felt a surge of determination. "Thank you, everyone," Ethan began, his voice shaky but growing stronger. "I appreciate the praise, but this isn't just about me. This is about all of us." He looked over the faces in the crowd, seeing their interest and eagerness to help. Governor Caldwell nodded, encouraging Ethan to continue. "We have a real issue in our community. Homelessness is not just a personal struggle, it's a systemic problem. We need to talk about how we can create lasting change." The governor's smile faded slightly as he listened to Ethan. "That's a bold statement, Ethan. What do you propose we do?" Ethan felt the weight of the moment. We need to focus on genuine support for those who are vulnerable. We can't just offer temporary fixes. We need to provide access to mental health services, job training, and affordable housing. This is about building a future for everyone. The crowd murmured in agreement, and some clapped softly. Ethan's heart swelled with hope. He could feel the energy in the air transforming into something powerful. Jasper stepped forward, his voice steady. "I've been homeless for years. I know the struggles. But with people like Ethan, I found hope. We need more people who care enough to help us stand up, not just cut our hair." His words rang out like a bell, and the crowd fell silent, hanging on every syllable. Ethan nodded, feeling grateful for Jasper's courage. "Exactly. We need to connect as a community. It's not just about giving a haircut. It's about listening to each other's stories and working together to make a difference." As Ethan spoke, the crowd began to rally around him. Strangers exchanged glances, sparked by a newfound sense of unity. People started raising their hands, eager to show their support. "Let's do something about this," someone shouted. The governor leaned in, clearly impressed. "Ethan, your insights are invaluable. This community needs leaders like you who are willing to challenge the status quo." Ethan felt the weight of the responsibility resting on his shoulders. He was no longer just a barber, he was a voice for those who felt unheard. But with this recognition came fear. Could he handle the pressure? Would he be able to keep this movement alive? "Ethan, we're with you," came another shout from the crowd. The energy was electric, and Ethan could see the passion in their eyes. He knew that they believed in him, and that belief began to lift some of the weight off his shoulders. "Let's work together," he urged, his voice strong now. "Let's not just talk about change, let's create it. Let's build something that lasts." The crowd erupted into cheers and applause, and for the first time, Ethan felt a sense of belonging. He was one of many, and together, they could make a difference. As he looked at Jasper, he knew that this was just the beginning. The movement had started, and he was ready to lead it. In the days following Ethan's stirring speech, the air in the park buzzed with energy. People were talking about him, about the movement he had sparked. But with this new attention came a weight that Ethan had not expected. He felt the pressure of being a community leader. Each day, as he set up his mobile barbershop, he faced not only the smiling faces of those he helped, but also the heavy responsibility of their hopes. One afternoon, as Ethan was finishing up a haircut for a young woman, he spotted Jasper across the park. Jasper was surrounded by a group of volunteers who had come to support Ethan's mission. Ethan felt a wave of relief wash over him. It was good to see Jasper smiling and engaging with others, but even as he watched, doubt crept into Ethan's mind. "Can I really handle this?" he whispered to himself, his hands trembling slightly as he snipped the last strands of hair. Later that day, Ethan sat down with Jasper to talk. "I feel like everything is moving so fast," he admitted, running a hand through his hair. "I wanted to help, but now it feels like I have to manage everything." Jasper nodded, his expression serious. "It's okay to feel overwhelmed, Ethan. You are doing something big, and it's normal to be scared. But you're not alone. We're all here with you." Ethan appreciated Jasper's support, but the truth was that he felt the pressure to be perfect. As the movement grew, so did the expectations. He had started forming partnerships with local organizations, and many volunteers wanted to help. But with more people involved came more opinions and ideas, and Ethan sometimes struggled to keep everyone on the same page. One evening, Ethan held a meeting in the park. He wanted to gather the volunteers and discuss the next steps. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the group, he looked at their eager faces. "Thank you all for being here," he began, feeling a mix of gratitude and anxiety. "I really appreciate your support, but I want to make sure we are all working together effectively." "Ethan, we believe in your vision," one of the volunteers, a middle-aged woman named Claire, said. "You've already done so much, we just want to help you reach more people." "But what if I can't keep this up?" Ethan asked, his voice shaking. "What if I let everyone down?" The thought weighed heavily on him. Jasper stepped forward, placing a hand on Ethan's shoulder. "You won't let anyone down. Just remember why you started this. It's about helping people, not about being perfect. We can do this together." With Jasper's words, Ethan felt a spark of encouragement. The bond between them had deepened over time, and Jasper's support became a pillar for Ethan. The two spent hours brainstorming ways to expand their outreach, thinking of creative events and collaborations that could benefit the homeless community. As they worked together, Ethan began to see the importance of sharing the load. He learned to delegate tasks to the volunteers, allowing him to focus on what he loved most, connecting with people through his haircuts. Each haircut told a story, and every shared moment brought him closer to those he helped. One Saturday, they organized a community event in the park, inviting people from all walks of life to come together. They offered free haircuts, food, and resources for those in need. The turnout was overwhelming, and Ethan felt a sense of pride as he watched the community unite. "Look at all these people," Jasper exclaimed, his eyes shining with excitement. "You've created something special here, Ethan." "Yes, but it's not just me," Ethan replied, his heart swelling with gratitude. "This is all of us. We're making a difference together." As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the park, Ethan realized that this journey was not just about him anymore. It was about the community they had built, the friendships they had formed, and the lives they were changing together. With Jasper by his side and a team of dedicated volunteers, Ethan felt ready to face the challenges ahead, knowing that he did not have to carry the burden alone. Together, they would continue to bridge the gap between those in need and the support they deserved. Ethan stood at the edge of the park, a gentle breeze brushing against his face as he took in the vibrant scene around him. The community event was in full swing, with colorful banners fluttering overhead. Children laughed and played, while adults gathered to share stories of hope and change. This was a day of celebration, a day to honor the journey he had embarked on. As he looked out at the crowd, he felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. He had come a long way from the barbershop where his journey began. The faces he saw before him, his clients, friends, and supporters, represented the newfound hope he had helped to create. Ethan spotted Jasper across the park, chatting animatedly with a group of people who had come to hear their stories. "Hey, Ethan," Jasper called, waving him over. His fresh haircut glinted in the sunlight, a symbol of the transformation that had begun in both their lives. "You should come and share your story too," Ethan smiled, but felt a knot tighten in his stomach. "I'm not sure, Jasper. I don't want to be in the spotlight." "You're a leader now," Jasper replied, his voice firm but encouraging. "People need to hear how this all started. Your journey can inspire others." Ethan took a deep breath, the weight of his new role settling on his shoulders. He had never wanted fame or recognition. His heart was in helping others, yet he understood that sharing his story could shed light on the issues they faced together. As the event progressed, Ethan watched as people took turns at the microphone. Each story was filled with struggles and triumphs, revealing the profound impact of their community efforts. He listened intently, his heart swelling with pride for everyone who had joined him on this path. Finally, it was his turn. With Jasper's encouraging nod, Ethan stepped up to the microphone, his hands shaking slightly. "Hello, everyone," he began, his voice echoing through the park. "I never imagined I would be standing here today, sharing my journey with you all." The crowd fell silent, their eyes fixed on him. "A few months ago, I was just a barber in a shop, trying to make ends meet. Then I met Jasper, a man who reminded me that kindness is powerful. That one haircut changed everything for me." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "I realized that while individual acts of kindness matter, real change requires us to look beyond our small efforts. We need to advocate for systemic reforms." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Ethan continued, "Together, we can create a community where everyone has a chance to thrive. But it needs commitment from all of us. It's not just about giving haircuts, it's about giving hope." The applause that followed filled him with warmth. He glanced at Jasper, whose eyes sparkled with pride. This was not just Ethan's journey. It was theirs together, and the journey was far from over. After the speeches, People mingled, exchanging ideas and forming new connections. Ethan felt a sense of fulfillment as he saw the impact of their shared mission. He knew that the road ahead would be challenging, filled with obstacles, but he felt ready to face them. Later in the day, as the sun began to set, Ethan found himself standing with Jasper and a few other community members. They watched as the park filled with laughter and conversation. "Do you think we can really make a difference?" Jasper asked, his tone serious but hopeful. Ethan nodded slowly. "I believe we can. It won't happen overnight, but if we keep pushing for change, we will see it happen. Together, we are stronger." As they stood side by side, Ethan felt a renewed sense of purpose. He was no longer just a barber. He was a dedicated advocate for social change. The journey ahead was long, and he knew it would require hard work and commitment, but he was ready. With Jasper by his side and a community rallying around them, Ethan felt hopeful. This was just the beginning. Together, they would face the future, ready to change lives and create a better world for those in need. Share this story if you believe that hope and community can create real change. Leave a comment about how a simple act of kindness has impacted your life, and subscribe for more inspiring stories like this one. Together, we can make a difference.